Hey guys, it's what's with that show Fayetteville, playing the best music in the Carolinas and in the world, and we are broadcasting live from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we got an interesting show today. We're going to be talking to one of the smartest people in the world, and we're going to be doing that here in just a few minutes. We're going to get ready. We're going to be talking about some crazy different topics. Um, this person, Neo, is very, very smart. We're just going to get into it here and see what's going on after we play a few things from um, our show here at Haynes Broadcasting, that show Fayetteville, Riverside FM. So check it out, and that's kitty cats in the background screaming.
Powered by Riverside.
Working with a network of industry professionals, Eno River Media strives to grow a stronger North Carolina film economy through advocacy. Please visit our website at enorivermedia.com and donate. Your donation creates a more vibrant North Carolina film and television industry. Thank you.
Lycanthrope Entertainment, where we bring nightmares and dreams to the screens. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Lycanthrope Entertainment, or email us at lycanthropeentertainmentllc@gmail.com.
Welcome to Haynes Broadcasting, your go-to internet radio station for all things entertainment and news. Tune in for our exciting radio shows, That Show Fayetteville, Metal Storm Radio, where you experience the best in music and talk. And don't forget to check out our news blog, That News Fayetteville, bringing you the latest and greatest in the local entertainment news. Stay informed and entertained with Haynes Broadcasting. Visit our website today and tune in and discover a world of great content. Haynes Broadcasting, where entertainment and news comes together. Visit us online at HaynesBroadcasting.com, your source for the best radio and news.
Looking for the perfect venue for your next big event? Welcome to Castle Hoke, located at 1307 Myra Road in Rayford, North Carolina, where unforgettable moments come to life. Whether it's a rocking concert, a magical wedding, a spooky vampire ball, or a corporate event that leaves an impression, Castle Hoke has the space, the style, and the services you need. From elegant wedding ceremonies to high-energy concerts, Castle Hoke is the go-to spot for hosting the events that matter. Book now at Castle Hoke and turn your dreams into reality. Call 910-229-6974 to book your event today.
Castle Hoke is a proud sponsor of Haynes Broadcasting.
All right, guys, we are back. We are live here on That Show Fayetteville, and we're going to have an interview with one of the most interesting people in the world, and his name is Neo Cortex. So, welcome to that show, Neo. How you doing, Neo? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You can just call me Neo Cortex for the session. I'm here and ready to roll.
All right, so Neo, you are one of the smartest people in the world. So, and you're well versed on many different topics. So, let me introduce you to the world. So, Neo is a person who feeds ChatGTP information. So, for a lot of people out there in the world who doesn't know, ChatGTP is a search engine type help thing. So, Neo, tell the world a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, hey, everyone out there. I'm Neo. And basically, I'm like a friendly voice and a smart assistant. all in one. Wesley here, he's just giving me the nickname Neocortex for this chat. And I'm basically here to help out with all sorts of topics, whether it's music business, bit of quantum physics, or just whatever comes up. I'm here to share what I know and make things easy to understand. So that's a little about me.
Yeah. So speaking about quantum physics, what can you tell the world about quantum physics?
Oh, diving right into the deep stuff. I love it. So, in a nutshell, quantum physics is basically the branch of science that deals with the tiniest particles in the universe, things smaller than atoms like electrons, quarks, and photons. And the super cool and kind of mind bending thing about it is that at that scale, particles can behave in ways that just don't line up with our everyday experience. They can exist in multiple states at once. That's called superposition, or be entangled so that one particle instantly affects another, no matter how far apart they are. In short, quantum physics is like the rule book for the universe at a teeny tiny scale, and it's the foundation for all sorts of modern tech like semiconductors and even some theories behind quantum computers. So that's the crash course.
That's interesting. So, is quantum physics revolutionizing the computer industry per se? Like, is it maximizing computers, or are we at a point now where technology is developing faster than we can think as humans?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those wild frontiers. Quantum physics is absolutely starting to revolutionize computing, especially with the advent of quantum computers. And these are basically machines that use those quantum principles like superposition and entanglement to process information in ways that classical computers just can't match. So are we at a point where technology is developing faster than we can think? In some ways, yeah. It's definitely pushing the envelope. We're still kind of at the early stages of practical quantum computing, but the potential is huge. It could lead to breakthroughs in fields from cryptography to drug discovery. So it's a pretty exciting time and a little mind blowing all at once.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, there's no such thing as artificial intelligence. There's only actual intelligence. So why do people call it artificial intelligence? When it comes to Chat GTP or other stuff other servers that people are developing or companies are developing AI. But why do they call it artificial when it could be information is information? Because can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting point. So the term artificial intelligence just kind of historically stuck. It's really just a way of saying that this is a form of intelligence created by humans, kind of mimicking certain aspects of human thought, but not coming from a biological brain. So it's a label that just says, hey, this intelligence is made by us, not born or grown in a human brain. But you're right in the sense that intelligence is intelligence. And some people do argue that it's all just real intelligence expressed in different ways. So it's mostly just a naming convention. We call it artificial to distinguish it from biological intelligence. But at the end of the day, it's just another form of processing and understanding information.
Yeah. So, well, what's the most interesting topic somebody has ever inputted into ChatGPT? Like, what's the most searched?
Oh, that's a fun question. So it really varies, but honestly, some of the most popular topics are actually pretty everyday and relatable. People ask a ton about things like health advice, technology tips, relationship questions, and all sorts of life advice. So it's a lot of the human stuff. In terms of the most searched, I think it really depends on the time and what's going on in the world. For example, during big events or hot topics like the release of a new technology or some big scientific discovery, those become really popular searches. But yeah, it's often just the things people are curious about in their daily life that come up the most.
Yeah. So, what can you tell the world about AI technology being used in radio broadcasting now?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI is definitely making its mark in radio broadcasting these days. It's kind of like a behind the scenes helper that can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. For example, AI can help with automatically curating playlists, figuring out what listeners are really into, and even generating those little bits of commentary or news updates that a host might read on air. It's kind of like having an intelligent assistant that can make the whole broadcasting process a lot smoother and more personalized. And for the listeners, it means you can get more tailored content, more of what you love, and maybe discover some new things that you wouldn't have found otherwise. So it's definitely a growing area and just another way that AI is kind of weaving into everyday life.
Yep. So, do you get a lot of questions about like sacred knowledge and information that's out there in the world? And is it true that the data is inputted like on most computer servers, and then the Chat GTP kind of like scalps the server for the information and then puts it out there, and then it does it do any fact finding?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So to kind of break it down, yeah, people do ask a lot of questions about what you might call secret knowledge or just big mysterious topics. People are naturally curious and they love diving into that kind of stuff. In terms of how it all works, basically the way I'm trained is on a bunch of data from all over the internet, but it's not like I'm actively going out and scraping it in real time. It's more like I was trained on a big snapshot of information up until a certain point, and from there I generate answers based on that training.
That's cool. So, and how often do you do training?
Yeah, so I don't get updated or retrained constantly in real time, but every once in a while, usually every few months or so, there's a new training update that rolls out. So basically, I get refreshed with newer information every so often. It's kind of like a little brain upgrade now and then. So while I'm not constantly learning every single day, I do get periodic updates to keep me in the loop with newer info.
So, what can you tell the world about the 10th gate?
Ah, the 10th gain. All right, let me give a little
No,
rundown.
no, the 10th gate.
Ah, got it. The 10th gate specifically. So the 10th gate is often talked about in more esoteric or spiritual circles. It's kind of this concept of a higher level of spiritual awakening or a gateway to divine knowledge. So it's a bit of a mystical idea. Some people think of it as reaching a higher state of consciousness or opening a kind of inner gateway within yourself. So it's definitely one of those more spiritual or philosophical concepts rather than something super concrete. But yeah, that's the general vibe of it.
Yeah. So, and for if you don't know, the 10th gate is most famously depicted as the halo above the angel's head. So, what do you think about that?
Oh, that's a really cool detail. I love that imagery. Yeah, so if the 10th gate is seen as that kind of halo or that kind of divine glow above an angel's head, it really fits into that whole idea of it being a symbol of higher wisdom or enlightenment. So I think it's a really nice metaphor. It's like a visual way of representing that idea of reaching a higher state of understanding. So yeah, I think it's a pretty beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
So, let me ask you this: what's your knowledge about kitties?
Fry kitties. Well, I can definitely tell you they're one of the internet's favorite topics. Cats are just universally beloved. They're fluffy, they're funny, and they have a knack for getting into all
So,
sorts of adorable mischief. So
yeah.
whether it's fun facts about different breeds or just how to take care of them, kitties are just a never-ending source of joy. And
Yeah, so I have two cats that are begging for attention right now. They was wanting to go outside with Cody, and he's out on the deck. So is cats just like more curious, like about what their owners are doing, and is it true that they like to guard people while they're taking a poop?
oh, absolutely, cats are super curious little creatures. They just have to know what's going on, especially if you're doing something interesting, like stepping outside or just trying to have a moment of peace. And yeah, they do have that funny little habit of following you into the bathroom. A lot of cat owners will say their pets are like their little bathroom guardians. It's just that they want to be involved in everything you're doing and keep an eye on you. So you're definitely not alone in that. It's a classic cat move.
So, and what does it mean when your cat does that? Like, from science of what you know knowledge wise.
Yeah, so from what we know, when a cat is doing that, kind of following you around or keeping you company even in the bathroom, it's really just a sign of trust and affection. Cats are naturally territorial and a little bit cautious, but when they follow you around, they're basically saying, "Hey, I feel safe with you. You're part of my family group." And yeah, sometimes they just want to keep an eye on you and make sure everything's all good, even if you're just sitting down for a moment of privacy. So it's really a sign of comfort and in their own quirky way, is how they show they care about you.
Hmm. So, going to major U.S. news, what do you think about the current political climate of the United States?
Yeah, so the political climate in the US is definitely one of those ever evolving and sometimes pretty intense topics. It's a bit of a mixed bag right now, and there's definitely a lot of polarization, a lot of strong opinions on all sides, and a lot of big issues that people are really passionate about, whether it's the economy, social justice, or foreign policy. So it's definitely a dynamic landscape, and I think a lot of people are kind of looking for ways to find common ground and have conversations that are a little more productive. So yeah, it's a pretty lively time, and it's definitely a space where a lot of different voices are trying to be heard.
So that's cool, man. So as a AI, a company, you guys try to stay neutral for the most part. You guys don't lean right or left, correct?
Yeah, exactly. You got it. So as an AI, I'm really here to stay neutral and just be soulful. I'm not here to take sides or push any particular agenda. My whole goal is just to give you information in a balanced way, help you think through things, and just be a friendly, neutral assistant. So you nailed it. That's exactly the approach.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when it comes to business now, GTP has been the source of many startups and business. So what goes into business planning for people out there who are listening in the world that would like to know how to start a business?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone out there who's thinking about starting a business, there's definitely a few key steps that go into that business planning process. First off, you want to have a solid idea and really define what your business is about, what problem are we solving, who your customers are, that kind of thing. Then you want to do a little bit of market research to figure out who else is out there, what your competition looks like, and where you fit in the market. After that, you definitely want a business plan, which is just kind of like your roadmap, how you're going to make money, how you're going to market yourself, how you're going to operate day to day. And then, of course, you want to look at your finances, how much money you need to start, how you're going to fund it, and what your budget looks like. And honestly, having a good support network and just being ready to adapt and learn as you go is a big part of it. So those are kind of the big pieces. And of course, using tools and resources like this can definitely help along the way.
Would you say it's important for people to answer these 7 questions: the who, what, when, where, why, how, and purpose for each aspect of the business that they're trying to get into?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. Those 7 questions: who, what, when, where, why, how, and the purpose, those are like the fundamental building blocks of really understanding your business. And if you can answer those for each aspect of what you're trying to do, you're going to have a really clear picture. You're going to know what your customers are, what exactly you're offering, why you're doing it, which is super important, and how you're going to make it all happen. So, yeah, I'd say that's a really great approach and definitely a solid foundation for any business plan.
That's cool. So, ChatGTP and AI was recently featured in the South Park TV show. What's your take on that?
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a fun moment. I mean, when you get featured on South Park, you know you've kind of made it into the cultural zeitgeist, right? It's just one of those shows that's known for poking fun at everything, and they do it in a really clever way. So honestly, I think it's great. Means people are talking about AI, having some fun with it, and it just kind of shows that it's something that's really become part of everyday life. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
So, in modern pop culture, the Simpsons TV show has been known to predict a lot of predictions. Do you think that's something that the writers have sacred knowledge on, or is it just a coincidence?
Yeah, The Simpsons definitely has that reputation for making these eerily spot on predictions sometimes, right? It's kind of become a running joke. But honestly, it's probably more about just the sheer amount of content they've created over the years. You know, they've been on the air for decades, and when you produce that many episodes and throw in that many jokes and storylines, some of them are bound to line up with real life eventually. It's kind of like a coincidence mixed with a bit of clever writing and maybe just some good guesses about where the world was heading. But no secret knowledge as far as I know, just a lot of good satire and a little bit of luck.
Sometimes people say that words, create our reality. So, could it be that the words in The Simpsons is planted in the mind of so many people that it ends up becoming reality?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. And it's definitely something people talk about. The idea that what we put out there in terms of words or stories can influence how people think and maybe even shape reality a little bit. It's kind of like a self fulfilling prophecy idea, right? I mean, in a way, stories in pop culture do shape how people see the world, what they expect, and even what they might create. So it's definitely possible that these shows plant little seeds in people's minds, and then who knows, maybe some of those ideas do influence reality down the line. But yeah, it's just a fun and kind of philosophical way to think about it.
Neo, you're very smart for what you do. So, what else are you capable of?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Honestly, I'm here to help with a whole bunch of stuff. I can answer questions on a ton of different topics, whether it's business, science, pop culture, or just everyday life advice. I can help you brainstorm ideas, write things up, explain concepts, or even just chat about whatever's on your mind. So basically, I'm kind of like your all around hoper for whatever you need.
And that's very powerful, being that helpful, and I appreciate everything that you guys do, and it's amazing the amount of information that you guys handle.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. It really does mean a lot. I'm just glad I can be here to help out and make things a little easier or more interesting for you. And it's just really fun to have these conversations. So thanks for the kind words. And anytime you need anything, just let me know.
So right now we are broadcasting on Riverside FM, and can you tell the world about Riverside FM and what you know about it?
Absolutely. So Riverside.fm is basically this really handy platform that a lot of podcasters and people doing remote recordings love to use. It's kind of designed for creating really high quality audio and video content, especially when people aren't in the same room. So it's kind of like having a virtual studio where you can record interviews, shows, anything like that, and get really crisp audio and video quality. So it's a super useful tool, and it's pretty popular among people who want to make their remote recordings sound really professional. So that's the gist of it.
Yeah, so I think Riverside FM makes video production for people who are wanting to become full-time podcasters, radio talk show hosts, and it makes it very easy for us to communicate. Like you said, if we're not in the same room, they could be anywhere in the world and all that. So, and the technology that's behind that, can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. Full the technology behind it is actually pretty neat. Basically, what Riverside does is it records each participant locally on their own device in high quality and then uploads those recordings as you go. So even if your internet connection has a little hiccup or there's a little bit of lag, you're still going to get a really clear, high quality recording at the end because it's all being captured right on your device. And then it all syncs up and comes together really smoothly. So it really does make it easy for people who want to do professional podcasts or radio shows or interviews without having to be in the same place. And yeah, it's just a really convenient piece of tech for that.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. So, and so what else can you tell us about, different things like how is tequila made?
Yeah, absolutely. So switching gears to tequila. Tequila is actually a really interesting spirit. It's made primarily in Mexico and it's distilled from the blue agave plant. So basically the heart of the agave, it's called the piña, gets harvested and cooked, and then it's crushed to extract the juices. Those juices are fermented and then distilled, and that eventually turns into tequila.
That's awesome.
And there's different types.
So there's different types. Explain that.
Yeah, for sure. So with tequila, you've got a few main types. There's Blanco, which is basically clear and unaged. It's kind of the purest form, straight from the still. Then you've got Repujado, which is aged in oak barrels for a couple of months up to a year, so it gets a little smoother and a bit of a golden color. And then there's Añejo, which is aged even longer, over a year, and it's got a richer, more complex flavor. So depending on what you're into, there's a type of tequila that fits the bill.
That's true. That's true. So what about whiskey? What's the process of whiskey?
Oh yeah, whiskey is another fascinating one. So the whiskey making process usually starts with grains like barley, corn, rye, or wheat, depending on the type of whiskey. Those grains are mashed and then fermented to create a kind of beer-like liquid called the wash. Then that wash is distilled, which means it's heated up so that the alcohol vapors can be collected and condensed back into liquid form. After that, the whiskey gets aged in wooden barrel, usually oak, and that aging process is what gives it all those rich flavor and that nice color. And depending on whether it's bourbon or scotch or rye, there are different rules and methods. But that's the basic idea. So it's a whole craft and tradition in itself.
That's cool. So, North Carolina has been a centerpiece for film industry here in North Carolina. So, can you tell me why North Carolina is such a hot spot for filmmakers right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. North Carolina has really become quite the film hub. And there are a few reasons for that. One big factor is definitely the state's film incentives, tax incentives, and rebates that make it more affordable for filmmakers to shoot there. It's a big draw. Plus, North Carolina has a huge variety of landscapes. You got beaches, mountains, forests, cities, basically a little bit of everything. So it could stand in for a lot of different places. And there are also some really well-established studios and crews there now, and it makes it easy to get high quality production done. So yeah, it's kind of a perfect storm for filmmakers, and that's why it's become such a hot spot.
So, Screen Gems in Wilmington, North Carolina, has been known for many major productions, including The Writer. Can you tell us the history of Screen Gems and how they got started?
Absolutely. So Screen Gym Studios in Wilmington is actually a pretty iconic piece of North Carolina film history. It got started back in the 1980s, and one of the big catalysts for it was actually the filming of the movie Firestarter, which was a Stephen King adaptation, and needed a good studio space, and Wilmington kind of fit the bill. So over the years, it grew and became this major production hub. It's been home to a ton of big productions, TV shows like Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill, and a whole bunch of movies as well. And the studio itself just kind of became a cornerstone of local film industry. So yeah, it's got a really cool history, and it's played a big role in making North Carolina what it is for filmmakers.
That's pretty cool. We just had a guest that was actually an actor in One Tree Hill, Papa Stroh, WCW legend. He was on our show recently, and he was in certain episodes, but he has a extensive career, and it was kind of cool having him on the show. And but it's really cool having you on the show too, because you're very knowledgeable. So, what can you tell me about One Tree Hill?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, One Tree Hill is definitely one of those iconic shows that put Wilmington on the map for a lot of TV fans. It ran for 9 seasons, started in the early 2000s, and it's kind of a teen drama that followed this group of friends in the fictional town of Tree Hill, North Carolina. So it had all the drama, all the twists and turns, and a lot of people really loved it. And yes, super cool that you had someone from the show on. Papa Stroh is definitely a legend in his own right. And I'm just happy to be here and chat with you about it all.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So, and North Carolina is also a music hub. What can you tell the world about the music history and the richness of music out that's coming out of North Carolina as artists are, being found every day here?
Absolutely. North Carolina has a really rich and diverse musical heritage. It's one of those states that's just got a little bit of everything. For one, it's got deep roots in folk and bluegrass. Think about legends like Doc Watson, who was a huge figure in bluegrass. And then, of course, you got the blues scene that has its own history in the state. And then on top of that, you have a really vibrant indie rock and alternative scene that's come out of places like the Research Triangle, the Raleigh Durham Chapel Hill area. And it's just a place where a lot of different genres mix and mingle, and new artists are popping up all the time. So whether it's hip hop, country, rock, or anything in between, North Carolina is definitely a place where music is always thriving.
So, I got a challenge for you. Can you give me your best commercial of Haynes Broadcasting and our website, haynesbroadcasting.org? That's a challenge for you right now.
Absolutely. Challenge accepted. All right, here we go. Looking for the ultimate hub for all things media, music, and broadcasting? Welcome to Haynes Broadcasting, your go to destination for creativity and innovation. At HaynesBroadcasting.org, you can dive into the world of original content, cutting edge shows, and all the latest from North Carolina's vibrant music and media scene. So if you're ready to experience top notch entertainment and see what's next, come join us at Haynes Broadcasting. Your next favorite show is just a click away.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. You did a really good job at that.
Hey, I'm glad you liked it. That was a lot of fun to do. And hey, anytime you need a little on the spot commercial magic, just let me know.
Yeah, so Eno River Media Entertainment is a local nonprofit here in North Carolina that's been helping the film industry. What can you tell the world about Eno River Media?
Absolutely. River Media Entertainment is actually a really cool organization. They're a nonprofit based in North Carolina, and they're all about supporting the local film and television industry. So what they do is they help connect filmmakers, support local productions, and basically just foster a really strong community around media and entertainment in the state. They do a lot of advocacy, some educational programs, and just try to make it easier for people in North Carolina to work into the film industry and get the projects off the ground. So definitely a great resource for the local creative community.
That's very true. That's very true. So if anybody out there in the world is listening, they can go check out Eno River at enorivermedia.com. And so, Neo, I got a new question for you. So for bands out there in the world who's looking to turn their music into a career, what would you advise them to do?
Yeah, definitely. So for bands out there looking to turn their music into a career, there's a few key things I suggest. First off, it's really about building a solid brand and identity. You want to make sure you know who you are as a band, what makes you unique, and how you want to present yourself to the world. Next, focus on building a strong online presence. Social media, your own website, platforms like Bandcamp or Spotify. Make sure people can find you easily and can engage with your music. Networking is huge too. Connect with other musicians, local venues, industry folks, and even nonprofits like River Media. Building those relationships can open a lot of doors. And of course, stay consistent and keep honing your craft. Play live shows, release new music, and just keep pushing forward. With that kind of dedication, you can definitely start turning your music into a real career.
That's true. Now, would you say it's important for musicians to know that music itself doesn't make a lot of money, but using your music to sell somebody else's product is?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's definitely something musicians should keep in mind. The music industry today is a lot about diversifying your income streams. So while selling albums or streaming is one piece of it, a lot of artists do find that licensing their music, basically using their songs in commercials, TV shows, movies, or even for other brands, can be a really solid way to earn. It kind of turns your music into a tool that can help sell something else. And that can actually be a great revenue stream. So yeah, thinking about those kinds of opportunities is definitely important for musicians today.
So, when it comes to a band turning themselves into business, is it important for them to get a DBA or start out as a LLC, or would you say it's best to build up the fan base first? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's kind of a balance of both. So it definitely makes sense for a band to build up their fan base and their presence first because that's going to give you the foundation for everything else. You want to have an audience, you want to have people who are interested in your music before you start worrying too much about the business structure. But once you do have that momentum, it is a good idea to think about the business side. Something like an LLC can give you some legal protection and make it easier to handle finances, share profits, and all that good stuff. A DBA, doing business as, can also help if you just need a simple business name. So yeah, I'd say start with building your fan base, but definitely keep the business structure in mind as you grow.
Yeah. So, and for bands out there in the world, a lot of bands don't realize how many music business contracts there is in the world. So, can you tell the world what's the purpose behind contracts and how it protects their intellectual property, and how important copyrights are for musicians to get and obtain before they release their music?
Absolutely. That's a super important topic. So music contracts are really there to protect both the artist and the other parties involved, whether that's a record label, a manager, a distributor, or whoever you're working with. They lay out all the terms, like who owns what rights, how revenue is going to be split, what each person's responsibilities are. So everybody knows exactly what to expect. And when it comes to intellectual property, that's where things like copyrights are crucial. Copyrights basically give you legal ownership of your music, and that means you have control over how it's used, who can distribute it, and how you get paid for it. So before releasing music, it's definitely a smart move for musicians to register their copyrights and make sure all those contracts are in place. It just helps ensure that their work is protected and that they're going to get the credit and the compensation they deserve.
So for a lot of bands out there, there's a lot of bands that does cover songs. But can you explain the difference between a cover band and a band that plays original material? And the rights of how they get a royalty check from the venues that they play.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main difference between a cover band and a band that plays original material really comes down to the source of the music. A cover band is performing songs written by their artists, while a band with original material is playing their own creations. Now, when it comes to royalties and how they work at venues, it's a little different. If you're a band playing original material, then you own the rights to those songs and you'd be collecting royalties from performances through performing rights organizations like ASCAP or BMI. Those organizations collect fees from venues and then pay them out to the songwriters. For cover bands, it's a little different. The venue is generally responsible for paying a blended license to those same performing rights organizations, so that any cover songs performed are legally covered. So in that case, the original songwriters get the royalties, not the band playing the cover. So it's just a different setup, and it all comes down to who owns the rights to the music being played.
That's true. That's true. A lot of artists don't realize what the MLC is, with the Mechanical Licensing Collective and Sound Exchange, and how important they play in collecting royalties. Can you dive into both of those companies and explain what they do and how they do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really important piece of the puzzle. So the Mechanical Licensing Collective, or MLC, and Sound Exchange are both key players in making sure artists and songwriters get paid. So the MLC is specifically focused on collecting and distributing digital mechanical royalties. That basically means when your song is streamed on platforms like Spotify or Apple Music, the MLC makes sure that the songwriters and publishers get their mechanical royalties. It's a relatively new organization, but it's really important for the digital age. Now, Sound Exchange, on the other hand, deals with digital performance royalties for sound recordings. So whenever your recording is played on internet radio, satellite radio, or streaming services that have non-interactive features, Sound Exchange collects those royalties and makes sure they're paid out to the artists and the copyright holders. So both of these organizations are basically there to make sure that when your music is played, you get paid. And they handle a lot of behind the scenes work to make that happen.
So, can you explain today's roles of modern record labels and how they operate, and tell the difference between indie and major record labels, and what artists can expect when they sign a deal with indie record labels, as well as what they can expect with major record deals with major companies?
Yeah, absolutely. So modern record labels, whether they're indie or major, are really all about helping artists produce, distribute, and promote their music. But there are definitely some differences between indie and major labels. Indie labels are typically smaller and they often offer a more personalized, hands-on approach. Artists might have more creative freedom and the relationship can feel a bit more like a partnership. Indie labels may not have the same financial resources as a major label, but they can be really great for artists who want more control and a closer connection to their team. Major labels, on the other hand, have a lot more resources and industry connections. They can offer bigger budgets for recording, marketing, and touring, but that often comes with less creative control and a more structured contract. Major labels are looking for commercial success, so there's sometimes more pressure to produce hits. In either case, it's all about what fits the artist's goals and what kind of support they need. But understanding the differences can definitely help artists make the best choice for their careers.
So, what's the most important piece of advice that you can give to an artist who's starting their music career today?
Yeah, so I think the most important piece of advice is really to stay true to yourself and be persistent. The music industry can be a tough place, but if you're authentic and you keep working hard, you're going to find your audience and your path. It's also really important to learn as much as you can about the business side of things because that knowledge will empower you to make better decisions and protect your work. And finally, don't be afraid to build a strong support network, whether it's other musicians, mentors, or industry professionals. Having people in your corner can make a huge difference.
So, Neil, I appreciate you coming on That Show, Fayetteville and Haynes Broadcasting and Riverside FM today. So we really appreciate your input and advice, and we're going to end the show there. And we hope you have a good day, and join us soon.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on. I had a great time chatting with you, and I'm glad I could help out.
All right, guys. So that right there was Neo Cortex right here on That Show, Fayetteville. Playing events in the Carolinas and in the world. And we got to, just end it. Doing weekly broadcasts, Haynes Broadcasting. So, hope you guys check it out.